I wonder if I'll fall for Fercullen today.
Well, there's only one way to find out. This week's review. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt and I'm the Whiskey Nerd.
I'm Rose and I'm the Whiskey Noob.
And like we said, this week we're looking at the Fercullen Falls from the Powerscourt Distillery. So we just get into the glass and we'll tell you a little bit more about it.
I know Powerscourt is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, Powerscourt is this really nice kind of country house, but also it's got this really nice kind of national park with a fantastic waterfall where Fercullen Falls gets its name from. And Fercullen themselves, well, they're the Powerscourt Distillery, and they've been making whiskey for a little while. They've got pot stills, so they've been making a nice malt whiskey, and this whiskey here, Fercullen Falls, is the first whiskey that they're producing or they're releasing with whiskey they made in their distillery. Up to this point, they've been producing some good whiskeys, some kind of premium whiskeys like the Fercullen 8 or some of the other like older kind of whiskeys they put out. They've all been very good, but this is the first whiskey uses whiskey they made themselves.
Ooh, I wonder what it'll taste like.
And this is also a very kind of interesting blend. It's a 50-50 blend of malt and grain whiskey. So typically when companies are making blended whiskeys, they use a lower amount of malt whiskey in their blend. So this is actually pretty high.
So it's 50% is pretty high then?
50% is pretty high.
Okay.
Now, some whiskey companies put out maybe 30% malt and 70% grain, but they've gone for 50-50 here. And the way they've aged these whiskeys also is kind of interesting. So the malt component was aged in first fill bourbon barrels. Yeah.
Oh, bourbon.
So this will give you lots of caramel, vanilla, really nice sweet, sugary notes, but then the grain whiskey component was aged in ex-bourbon barrels and in fresh charred new oak casks. So grain whiskey is usually kind of lighter in flavour, does take on a lot of flavour quite easily, so it'll take on obviously caramel and vanilla from those bourbon barrels.
Yeah.
But the fresh charred oak will have given it some kind of maybe smoky notes, maybe not smoky, but like charred oak, almost savoury, kind of deeper notes. So they're very interesting to see how that will come through into the whiskey.
Question.
Yes.
For the new oak, do we know where the new oak came from? Is it like American?
They don't say. I assume it's American.
Okay.
Because a lot of new oak does come from America because they've got lots of forests there.
Yeah.
But I assume it's American, though they haven't said. One thing as well about this whiskey, it does come in at 43% ABV. So when I reviewed the Fercullen 8-year-old, my only real ding against it was that it was a premium whiskey, but it was coming out at 40% ABV.
A little low.
A little low, especially when you're looking at a premium product. Customers these days are looking for higher ABV. So this is coming in at 43%, which is good, but higher ABVs generally means more flavour and more kind of character to the whiskey. Now, I'd like to believe that they saw my review and they said, oh, we should put out a whiskey at 43%.
So they bumped it up a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think they did that, but I like to believe it, so I will believe it. But I think that's enough talking. Let's go in for the nose on the Fercullen Falls.
Oh, okie dokies. Cheers. I smell new oak.
Do you?
I think it's American.
Oh,
but that's also a general good guess, I think.
Also, you do get like a little bit of charred oak, but you're getting kind of...
There's sweetness?
Oh, definitely. There's kind of biscuity notes, there's caramel, vanilla. Like the malt influence is quite apparent. There's a good amount of that kind of malty, biscuity, like digestive biscuit, that kind of nice grain-forward sweetness there.
Yeah.
What kind of fruits are you getting on this? Because I know what the fruits I'm getting.
I'd say I get more of like wintry fruits maybe, but also, so I think I get a bit of green apple. In my mind, I don't eat green apples in summer, I eat them in winter. Whether that's a winter fruit or not, I don't know, but to me it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting orchard fruits, I'm definitely getting apples, green apples coming through. In terms of sugariness, I'm also getting a little bit almost like a marshmallow sweetness. Like,
marshmallow!
Like it's quite sweet, maybe like a toasted marshmallow on a fire.
Oh yeah, because for some reason I'm just getting a good winter vibe from this.
Okay, well sometimes, smells do trigger memories. So maybe
I'm great with the memories.
Yeah, like campfire with a marshmallow or apples.
Or marshmallows and a hot cocoa in winter.
Yeah, well I think it's time we go in for the palate.
Okay.
I'm getting a kind of like a biscuity note, like it's definitely malty, like it's not a funky malt. You know, if you've tasted things like Bushmills, you'll know what I mean by like a funky malted whiskey, where it's almost like it was left in the malting process go a little bit longer, so it developed more of that maltiness. This is definitely more biscuity malt.
Yeah.
Like we said, those digestive biscuits, like the almost
a gateway malt.
Yeah, almost like the base of a cheesecake, where you've got that kind of buttery sweetness and you got the maltiness coming through.
I can get that. Yeah, like the biscuit, digestive-y kind of taste.
Yeah.
And speaking of bottoms of pies, this reminds me of like the autumnal spices, like the ones you would put into a pumpkin pie, which connects to your, biscuity bottom of pie.
It's definitely got some
cloves.
Yeah, some baking spices, some cloves, some cinnamon, things like that coming through. Yeah, kind of nice and spicy, not like really a peppery spice, more like those kind of baking spice notes.
Like the hardcore baking spice. Like I wouldn't say like, oh, there's lots of like sweet cinnamon or anything. I'm talking cloves, you know.
Maybe a bit of allspice.
Oh, it could be allspice.
Yeah. Going again for another sip. Anything else you find? Are you getting any of that charred oak influence?
Oh yeah, there's definitely the charred oak in there for sure.
At the tail end, I'm definitely getting a little bit of that charred oak. It's not overpowering. It's not really smoky. It's just a little bit of kind of oak spice coming through at the end.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely get the charred oak. Normally, I don't think I'm a huge fan of like new oak, particularly American new oak. But because this isn't overwhelming, I kind of get more of an appreciation for it here than I normally would, I think.
I think it's time to go in for the finish and think about what flavors fade first and what flavor fades last.
Okie dokies.
Sure. So, what's kind of fading first for you?
Maybe the oak. I feel like I've got a lot of the spices.
Yeah, the spices are definitely lingering on.
Heat at the end.
There's a bit of heat. What about the apples? Are you still getting the apples?
No, I think the apple is more in the nose.
Yeah, apple's definitely in the nose. It doesn't really make a reoccurrence into the palate or into the finish. It's definitely just like a nice kind of fruity note on the nose. Yeah. The biscuity note, the sweetness, that's still there with the spices. Like that's kind of quite tied together.
Yeah.
The oak spice, it kind of fades away, leaves you with those baking spices.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
It's not overly complex. It doesn't take like a left turn into the palate or do something different. It's not really a huge development. It's more of like a good progression. But
I like a good progression sometimes, because some whiskeys you get to like, where am I going? I don't know. But this one, it's like a smooth progression. Like you sit down, it's snowing outside, it's a bit cold, you've come back you've come back from a hard day of work and you want to know where you're going, you know where you're going.
Yeah, it's kind of medium long, like some of the notes do fade off pretty quickly, pretty short.
Like here instead of like here.
But then the spiciness does hang on, almost a little drying as it leaves it, as it goes on. Yeah, just kind of nice, it does hang on a bit. Some of those notes. I'd like to see what this would do in a cocktail. See if it would have more presence. Maybe like a whiskey sour or something like that, where you get the initial hit of the sweetness with the lemon and with the sugar, and then you got this bit of a tail. I wonder if this spiciness would carry through into the tail, because they do actually suggest using this in cocktails because it's kind of their first whiskey using whiskey they've made themselves, so they're kind of hoping this would be a drinker and a cocktail maker.
Yeah, I'm imagining like a cocktail with like one of those cinnamon sticks in it.
Like an old fashioned or something?
Yeah, maybe something like that, but like a fancy one.
Like a fancy old fashioned.
Fancy one.
So how do you rate it?
Oh, rate it. I think it's tasty. I think if you're like if you're not super into malt, it's a nice one to have to get that malty kind of flavor.
It's also pretty fairly priced as well. In terms of, it comes in at less than €40, so it's definitely
a present.
It's definitely a present. It's getting into the premium category without really charging super high amounts of money. Like you can get blended whiskies for €35-40 now, so it's definitely pitched at around that price of being a good whiskey, high malt component, and also coming in at 43% ABV, so it's not at the floor. It has a bit more flavor, a bit more characteristic. So
I like it. Like it wasn't a boring whiskey. I like the different flavors in there. I like the journey in there. I think you share it with friends, put in a cocktail with a cinnamon stick, and I think you'd be good to go.
Yeah, so I think we're going to keep on enjoying it. If you'd like what you've seen, we put out whiskey reviews on Wednesdays, cocktail recipes on Fridays. Sometimes we put out fun videos on Mondays. So if you want to see more like that, make sure you hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.